I'm joined by Councillor Jeff Carlson. We're getting a City Council recap from this week. A couple of things to talk about. First thing we're going to talk about, curbside recycling. I hear you're the guy to talk to. Some sort of environmental committee you're on?
That's the one, yes. There's 4 of us on council that sit on the environment committee of council. And yeah, we did the curbside recycling survey. It wasn't solely curbside. It was all about recycling habits and people's wants and desires. We thought as environment committee that it was time that we sort of just took a harder look at this and actually did a statistically accurate survey of our residents just to find out where they do fall down. And so we got the results yesterday.
Now, what happens with those results? What do you guys plan to do with that information?
Well, it was good information for this council just to look at. But we've already set our operating budget for the 3-year cycle. We'll be setting our capital budget on Monday. So there's not a lot of opportunity for this council to make a lot of changes right now unless we reopen the whole process. So what we've done is we've sent those figures, I guess, forward in time to the next council. So when they're looking at their operating budgets and capital budgets, they can look at this and say, oh, okay, 80% of our citizens want this, 66 want that, and it'll just give them some really good information. Okay,
now I don't want to get too specific because I know there's lots of numbers floating around, but do you have some of the information? What were some of the results?
Well, one that wasn't surprising to the half of us that felt our citizens were interested was that 80% of the folks in Lethbridge would like curbside recycling. And that's mostly, as Jamie Duncan from Ipsos, who did the survey for us, pointed out, it's mostly based on convenience. And then we drilled down a little further, and then we looked at possible costs. Other centres have implemented this for anywhere between $8 and $10. So then we asked folks, if it was $8 a month, would you still be interested? Because we know as soon as you put a dollar figure, people go, oh, no, I don't want that. But we still stayed fairly strong. 2/3, 66%, were willing to pay around $8 a month for it, and it only dropped off by about another 5% when it went up to $10 a month. So we didn't go too far into detail about the level of service, like would it be a bi-weekly pickup, would it be weekly pickup, would it be sorted, unsorted. Those are all questions that we'd have to get some money behind to figure out exactly what those costs would be. But so that it was a fairly, in my opinion, a fairly strong showing. Awesome.
Well, they have that information now, and future council will worry about it now. Okay, talking still in the future, kind of. A possibility for expanding the southeast part of the city, that was discussed briefly. A plan is being developed. What's happening there?
Traditionally, when a developer owns a chunk of land in the city, they put forward an area structure plan for their area, and we have out in the southeast a massive piece of land with many landowners, developers owning bits and pieces of it, and it didn't seem really feasible for any one of those to undertake this process. A, it's an expensive process, and B, it could fragment the whole, and we've seen that before. If we do a little development here and then somebody next to it does theirs, they don't quite connect. So our planning department thought that we should maybe take it on and do the area structure plan for the entire southeast area. And that way it'll have good flow, and we can look into the future and figure out where the road pattern should go and where all the connection should be, and then we can foot that bill now and then recoup those costs from the developers as they develop.
We have one more thing to talk about today. LED lights was brought up at council this week. Getting some feedback. What did you guys talk about?
We did in the last operating budget institute a plan to convert the entire city from the high pressure sodium lights that we've got now, the yellowy orangey ones, to LEDs. The technology has come so far that now the expense is lowered, and we were able to get, I think, a $6 or $7 million federal grant to cover the cost, which is awesome. So to retrofit the whole city, and it'll save us about $1 million a year in operating costs, and awesome for the environment as well. I mean, you're using that much less energy. However, there's been some folks who have had some challenges with it. We had one fellow at council yesterday who, like I do, he lives on a corner lot, and so he's got 3 streetlights right on his property. I'm lucky I have 2 on mine and 1 across the street. And they are bright, and the way it's situated with him and the way his house sits, they do shine apparently right in his windows. So we've asked our administration to look on those case-by-case basis. According to our staff, we've had less than a dozen folks who have these challenges. Obviously, we probably can't solve everyone's issues, but we're trying to, on a case-by-case basis, if something is really wrong, I mean, sometimes it's as simple as we've installed the head with a slight angle or something, they can fix that, or there's little shields they can put around it to block the light. So we will look at that. If folks do have concerns, contact us and we'll do our best. The unfortunate part is we live in a city and there are lights. So we're not going to turn them off because it's a safety concern, but we will do our best to fix anyone's specific problems.
Okay, excellent. Sounds good. That was a lot of information in a short amount of time. Thank you so much for the recap.
You're very welcome.
If you can't make it down to City Hall every other Monday to see the City Council meetings in action, you can catch them on Shaw TV at 1:30.